Welcome, everyone. I'm Michelle Nettleton. I'm really happy to have you here in my studio. Today, we are going to do a painting of coneflowers. So let's get started. These are the colors we'll be working with today. My paints are all dry right now. They came out of a tube and I need to spray them to activate them. I'm painting on 100% cotton, 140-pound Bahong paper. My sketch is already on the paper. Let's talk about brushes a little bit. It's very difficult to buy brushes because each brand has a different way of numbering their brushes. As a general guideline, the larger the number is on the brush, the larger the brush is. Riggers have long bristles and they're meant to make things like wires or long grasses. They hold a lot of paint and you can make these long skinny lines. During my videos, I talk about consistencies. So there's tea, coffee, milk, cream, and butter. To change your consistency, all you need to do is add or take away water. Now I'm preparing the cone of the flower to put the first layer on. So I've made a tea consistency paint, and then I am now just putting clear water on the cone, and then on all the cones of the flowers. And then I'm going to also put it on the leaves and the stems. So I want a nice cadmium yellow tea consistency paint on all those areas so that I have an underpainting of yellow. I want it to show through later on. I'm checking my pattern to make sure that I'm getting the colors in the right place. Now it's time to start thinking about the next color. So I'm cleaning my brush. Checking my paper to see how wet it is or dry. And the colors I'm going to use are alizarin crimson. And again, we're going to go tea consistency. So I'm preparing the color. Lots of water in it. And then applying a tea consistency to the petals. So I'm wetting the petals a little bit with pretty much clear water. It's got a little bit of red in it, but not anything to worry about. I'm not filling in every little bit like a coloring book. I'm sort of making some things lighter and darker. Whenever I'm not sure about how much water I have in my brush, I wipe it off with a paper towel. So as I'm painting these petals, I'm being careful as to which petal is on top of some are on top of each other, and so I put a shadow, a darker bit of alizarin crimson to indicate that some leaves are behind other ones. And also the paint is darker around the cone, the base of the cone. Now that the leaves are dry, we are going to start putting another layer of paint on. So we will use ultramarine blue. We'll mix ultramarine blue and sap green. And a little bit of burnt sienna. So I've placed them separately, and I will mix them pretty much on the leaves so that the leaves are not just one shade of green. I want the shades of green to be varied, and it will make it more exciting, the painting more believable, the leaves more believable. So first I'm wetting the leaves with clear water, and then painting in a bit of the green, just a plain sap green. Next, I'm pulling out that green. I'm very lightly touching the page and pulling out the light green. So there's a little bit more of the, not light green, but sap green. Tea consistency, that's why it's a light green. Now I'm adding in a little bit of ultramarine blue to make it look a bit darker near the stems. This leaf right here that's behind the pink petal needs to be quite dark so that the petal will stand out. And also you've got complementary colors here, so that will cause your pinks to really stand out as well. So I'm going to mix well, I'm wetting it first. Wetting the leaf first, and I'm going to mix burnt sienna. Oh no, I've got green on there. First, the sap green. Adding some burnt sienna. That's going to make it a bit darker. And later on, after it dries, I will make it a bit darker, that leaf a bit darker, especially right near the petal so that it looks like a shadow. Basically, I'll be doing that on all the leaves and all of the stems. Now that certain areas are dry, I can go in and darken some areas, like around that petal. So I added a little, I have a little bit of ultramarine blue on my fine paintbrush. That's a rigger, I think. So I add those darker tones in areas where it looks like there would be shadow. So next to petals, on the underside of a leaf. Now we need to work on the cone part. So first we're going to wet the cone with clear water. And we're just going to wet close to the petals. We want to keep the yellows. We don't want to cover up all the yellows. We're just going to have some of it showing through. So now I'm into the burnt sienna, and I'm just dabbing on a little bit of burnt sienna in the middle of the cone and a bit down at the bottom near the petals. I'm changing to the dark brown, so that would be burnt umber. And I want a fairly thick consistency. So I'd say a coffee, somewhere between coffee and cream. And while it's still wet, I'm dropping in that dark brown. And I'm going to make it flow by actually moving the whole painting and shaking it so that the colors flow where I want them to go. Here I'm darkening the base of the cone to make it look like the petals are flowing out of the cone. The cones look pretty good now, so I'm going to clean my palette and make sure that I have some clean water. And I'm going to start working on the petals again. So now I'm going into the cadmium red. I want to get some nice dark reds. So I have cadmium red and alizarin crimson mixed together. And I want something fairly thick, like coffee, or cream, actually cream. And I'm going to wet a little section of the leaf or petal, and I want the paint to go partway down the petal, not touching the end, so that it gives the illusion of the petals coming out of the cone. To darken it a bit more, I add a bit of burnt sienna, just a tad, right next to where the cone meets the petals. So I skip the petals. I go every other petal so that they don't bleed into each other. If they're not touching, then I don't have to skip them. But basically, that's the idea, is to go to every other petal, especially down the flower below. The petals all touch one another, so I have to skip from one to skip one and let it dry and then come back. I should mention that when I place the reds, I just lightly pull down the color by brushing it just lightly towards the end of the petal, and that gives it some texture and some variety. I'll just continue doing the same thing on all of the petals. Also, as I'm doing this, I am trying to distinguish one petal from the other one, the ones that are below and which ones are on top. So the ones below are usually darker than the ones that are on top. Now's the time to do the finishing touches on the leaves. So I'm going to wet the leaf first. So when the leaves touch places where they need to be darkened because of shadows, I'll use ultramarine blue or burnt sienna, depending on what color the leaf is. And I like to get a few edges on these leaves to stand out, so I'll use maybe sap green. Here I'm doing a few touch-ups on the petals and around the cones. The plan is to make the cones and the petals stand out more, and that's just by darkening them where they meet one another. Where the cones and the petals meet one another, I just darken the edges a little bit. Here it's a little difficult to see, but I'm adding a little bit of background, very, very lightly. So now we're getting to the end, and I'm going to add in some background by doing some splattering. So I have to cover some areas with the paper towel so I don't get splattering on my petals. So the trick to doing this is to have one loaded brush with whatever color you want to splatter on your background and tapping it over top of the area that you want to have your splatter on. So the splatter technique adds texture, depth, and energy and spontaneity to your painting. All that's left now is to sign your name. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did.